Good evening. We're going to start this evening with course selection night. I want to be respectful of your time and thank you for coming. And we're going to get started right away. So my name is Amy Jenkins. I am one of the assistant principals here at Unionville High School. Mr. Connolly sends along his apologies. He had a family emergency come up at about 2 o'clock today, so he left the building and will not be here tonight. So please just keep him and your family in your thoughts. The other assistant principal is Mr. Steve Silva, and then we also have a dean of students, Mr. Pat Clark, who is also here with us tonight that will be able to answer any questions that you have. So I want to go through and talk to you a little bit about the scheduling process at Unionville High School. And the purpose of this evening is to provide you an overview of the course selection and how we go about forming the master schedule and putting our students into the courses that they request, and the importance of the timelines and the steps that we go through here at the high school. One of the most important things that I can stress to you is that adhering to the guidelines and the dates is what's going to help you and our students and help us to build the best possible master schedule for all students so that everyone can get the courses that he or she wants and everyone can get the time frames that they would like. So we need to know in a timely manner what courses the students are going to take, because that's how we form the master schedule. And before we go on and talk to you about this whole process, I'm going to make this PowerPoint presentation available to you tomorrow, so that on the Unionville High School website, so you'll be able to go in and download it. We also are streaming this online, so the people that don't have access to the PowerPoint will be able to see it later. So here are the timelines. These are the most important dates. Tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., course selection opens. It stays open until March 1st. An important piece, if you log in at 7:31 tomorrow and make your course selection, there's the same probability that you're going to get the courses that you want as the kid who logs in on February 28th at 7 p.m. or March 1st at 7 a.m. So it doesn't matter how quickly you get your course selection in. What is important is that you go in and select the courses that you would like. You have to have a minimum of 5.5 credits, and the system will tell you at the bottom, you don't have enough credits, pick another course. You don't have enough credits, or you have too many credits if you go over 7. So every student that's at Unionville High School has to have between 5.5 and 7 credits. March 27th to April 3rd, that's when you can look at your students' third quarter grades and think about it and talk about things as a family and say, you know what, I no longer want to take Accounting 1, I want to take Personal Finance. Or I no longer want to take Honors English, I'm going to take Academic English. So you will have a course selection change period in there. Okay, it's March 27th to April 3rd. After that, you won't have access to go in until June 1st to June 29th. And you can only request level changes at that time. You cannot request, you know what, I want to take a Foods 1 class, or I want to take a Personal Finance class. It's strictly level changes based on your final fourth quarter, your final grade after the fourth quarter. So the last add drop period is strictly for level changes, okay? We will go through and run prereqs. If you don't meet a prereq, we'll drop you down to the appropriate level. There is also, at this time, a waiver period. So there'll be an online waiver that goes up on the Unionville High School website where you can say, you know what, my child did not meet the prereq to take Honors English, but I feel that he or she could take Honors English, and he or she had a rough year as an 8th grader, and I'm going to challenge them and put them. You sign that waiver, and your child signs that waiver. We will then place them in the Honors English course, but they're stuck in that course until at least the end of the first marking period. We don't move them in the middle if they're struggling. They have to finish the marking period, and the grade carries over with them to the new English course if they change. So just be cautious of waivers. We've done a ton of historical research on our prereqs, and our prereqs are pretty accurate, and our teachers have been able to identify this is the lowest level before we see a student really struggling. So really pay attention to the prereqs that are in there. After that, the PowerSchool website's completely locked down until your schedules are released in August. So again, the 14th through the 1st is your first deadline. Everyone needs to go in and pick 5.5 to 7 credits. Your next one is March 27th to April 3rd, and that's just a short add drop. And then you're done for the school year. After the school year, then you start with the waiver and the level changes. Okay? Graduation requirements. So when a student leaves Unionville High School, they have to have a minimum of 22 credits in order to graduate. 4 of those credits are in English, 4 in social studies, 3 in science, 3 in math, 0.75 in phys ed, 0.5 in health, 0.5 in business applications, and 6.25 in elective courses. Your world language and your arts all fall in the elective courses. Business application, it used to be that you had to take ECA, I'm sure you were aware. You don't have to do that now. You can take any business application course. So you can take a personal finance and accounting, a business and personal law, any of our business courses satisfy that requirement. What's new for next year? So next year we have 9 blended courses that will be in the course catalog. And I'm gonna play a short video that kind of describes a blended learning course and then talk to you a little bit about that as soon as we're done this slide. Essential computer applications, which used to be ECA, will now be in the course catalog as college and career readiness. And there have been a few changes to that course description as well. And we have a new course of Accounting 2. So there are all the changes for next year. So let's take a look at the blended video and then.
Hello, Unionville. I'm Mr. Delgado, and I wanted to make sure that you were aware of something new that you're going to be offered for next year's classes. As you head into your course selection process, we wanted to make sure that you knew what we've been up to as a faculty. We've been developing with several departments in our school a new type of course that's available to you for next year. Those courses are blended learning courses. Now, what is a blended learning course, you may ask? Well, blended learning combines traditional in-classroom instruction with online instruction to provide a personalized and more flexible experience that puts more responsibility on the students and gives you a little bit more freedom to do what you need to do. You'll spend 3 days out of your 6-day cycle in the classroom, as you would right now, but the other 3 days of your 6-day cycle, you'll be on your own doing online instruction and creating different types of deliverables that you'll have to have ready when you come to class. That's right, we're going to gather in the classroom only every other day, which provides you a lot of choice as to the place, the pace, and the path of your learning on those other 3 days. Now, make no mistake, the level of rigor and investment of time in this type of course is the same, if not greater. The blended learning format simply offers you more flexibility. Definitely don't think that this is an easier option. It is just a different option that fits the needs of some students. Having skills in time management and self-advocacy will be essential to your success in these new types of blended learning classes. Now, if this format for learning sounds interesting and appealing to you, you should definitely check out our blending learning courses in the selection guide. I myself have been working on this, and we are excited as a faculty to have these new types of classes, and we are looking forward to seeing you with us next year, both in the classroom and online with our blended learning courses. Thank you, and good luck.
Okay, so to give you a little more information, so we have 9 blended learning courses that we'll be offering next year. They range from Honors Bio 1 to Honors Geometry to Personal Finance. There's a whole slew that cover every department, has at least one blended learning course that they're going to offer. The blended learning courses mean that the students will be traditional brick and mortar, we'll call it, for 3 out of the 6 days. since we run on a 6-day cycle here at Unionville High School. The other 3 days will be cyber or online. So what does that mean? It may mean that if your child has a first or a ninth period blended course, they could leave school at 1:58, or they could come in at 8:53 in the morning on those specific days. We will not provide transportation. If they have to take the bus, they would come normal time, and there'll be 3 designated spots in the high school where they could sit and work on their courses. The teachers during that time will have office hours, similar to like a college campus, where if a student's having problems, they could go see the teacher during their office hours during that time. Or the teacher may say to the child, why don't you come in on this day and let's work on this during our online cyber day. We also are investing in Zoom. So if many of you in the corporate world have used Zoom for meetings, so the students could log in and do a virtual office hour with the teacher and get that one-to-one feedback and instruction. Some of the courses will be offered first period, some will be offered ninth period, okay? We also are gonna try to run every blended course with a brick and mortar at the same time and period, so that if a child is truly not being successful, we can possibly bring them back to go brick and mortar the entire time. I will tell you, it has to be a child that is a self-starter, will sit down and do their work, has time management skills, and is good and fluent on Canvas. So some of the requirements you need to think about, is this right for my child? And you may think, you know what, my child struggles coming and sitting in a classroom 6 out of 6 days. This may be an option for them. This may give them some of that breathing room that they need where, you know what, there's some medical condition or some reason where they can't get into school every day at the start of school. So this would give them 3 days during that time where they could come in 45 minutes late, and then maybe they do their work at 7 o'clock at night. So there'll be some options that you can think about, talk to your school counselors about, talk to your teachers, and see if you think it would be a good fit. I'm going to turn it over to our department chairs now, who are going to give you a brief overview of each department, and then we'll kind of wrap up and go over the next steps. So Ms. Ahart is going to take over for the English department.
Good evening. Welcome to the high school. You are in a wonderful place. I'm Amy Ahart, and I am the chair of the English department, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the courses available for 9th grade. We really have 2 options to choose from. If you are coming in as a 9th grader, you can choose academic level English, or you can choose honors level English. And the one question I always get is, which one is better for me? So I thought it'd be good to briefly paint a picture of what an academic student looks like and what an honors level student looks like. So an academic student definitely desires more guidance in the classroom. Wants more help along the way with reading books, analyzing books, understanding them. Likes larger assignments broken down into smaller steps, and likes more reminders about responsibilities and due dates. So in a nutshell, I would say an academic student enjoys English, but just really prefers more teacher guidance along the way. An honors student definitely is more independent, maybe even has a true passion for the subject of English, maybe loves reading and writing independently on their own. So an honors English student reads the works at home and comes class ready to talk about them. In the honors classroom, discussions are usually student-led. The students raise the questions, the students start the discussions, and there's a lot more autonomy in what happens in that classroom. The honors student also has a strong working knowledge of 8th grade grammar. And that is important. All the 8th grade students are taught grammar. The honors student is implementing it in their writing. And that also is a difference between maybe an academic and an honors student. So if you want to talk more about that, I will be in the library. I'd love to talk to you about English and what we have at the high school. As a side note, we do not have a blended course for 9th grade in the English department. Our blended course will be in 11th grade. So if you are out there heading into 11th grade next year, we can also talk about that. So please come see me if you have any questions, and welcome to Unionville. And I'll turn it over to social studies.
Good evening. My name is Mike Mangan, and I'm representing the Social Studies Department tonight, as well as my daughter, who is a rising ninth grader. I promise not to embarrass her too much. But a little bit about the ninth grade offerings in is called Western Civilization. The course basically is an overview of Western European history, charting its philosophical origins, its political, economic history, and really looking at predominantly the culture of Western Europe. Like English, the question that I get most often tonight is what's the difference between an academic and an honors level class? Similar to English, an academic class is a little bit more structured. An honors level class sort of assumes that the students are a little bit more capable of gathering some of the content for the course before they get to class. For example, one of the things that we're doing right now is we're studying the Enlightenment philosophers, Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. In an academic level class, we would come to class and we would talk first about what the philosophers' views are before moving to a discussion about their differences or how they might interact with each other. An honors level class, students would come to class understanding the basics about the philosophers, where a class activity then might be to analyze where the philosophers would disagree or where they would agree, or really taking it to a higher level place much sooner. So I always say if you have a good reading comprehension skills, if you enjoy social studies, and you really have that ability to acquire some of the content on your own, the honors is a good choice for you. The other thing I'll mention is that for the social studies, our online offering is in the 10th grade. It's a world history course. So we don't have a blended learning class yet for the 9th grade. 9th graders all take Western Civ. 10th grade, then world history is when we offer our hybrid course. So thanks for coming. If you have any questions, I also will be in the library. And next is Dr. Villette in science.
Thank you. Okay, good evening. I'm Doug Villette, the Science Department, and I welcome you all here. I wanted to talk to you about our science choices in 8th grade. There basically are three. There's honors bio, academic bio, and global science. The honors bio class is, you can see the prerequisites up there depending on whether the student is enrolled in the accelerated or honors science class or in the core science class this year. The difference, I think, between the honors and academic is similar to what you have heard in some of these other classes. There's more of an expectation that students will read and understand material before they come to class, that there's more time processing and higher order thinking skills. We have seen that students who are good readers tend to enjoy, or at least are better at biology, and students that would have a harder time processing lots of information are probably better off with the academic class. Our science classes do not track students. So if a student takes an academic bio next year and decides they wanted to try honors chemistry in 10th grade, there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to do that. They would just have to show their ability both in science and in math for 10th grade. And the primary difference for academic versus global science is their math grade. Students who are going to be entering into concepts of algebra probably are going to enroll in global science. And if they're in academic algebra, accelerated algebra, academic algebra or accelerated, they can take academic biology. So we have a, what are they called again? Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry. We have a blended honors bio course this year, and the teacher who's going to be teaching that class is Diana Tucker. She is in the library, so if you're thinking about that option, you could come and speak with her about that as well. Thank you. And Mr. Lung.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Long. I am the department chair for the math department. I'm here to represent the 14 teachers, and we're really excited to have all of you join us here at the high school next year. Math is a little more complicated than the previous subjects because, as you know, most kids in our school district, or all kids, follow a certain sequence. You have pre-algebra, you have algebra 1, you have geometry, algebra 2, and then you move on from there. So this chart, the problem is a lot of students start algebra at a different point. So the course that you're going to take clearly depends on the course that you're in this year. So this chart sort of explains where you are now in 8th grade and what you would take your freshman year. So how many of you are in honors geometry this year in 8th grade? So your choice would be, the large majority would move to honors algebra 2, or if you're taking geometry, you would move to algebra 2 accelerated. And just like Mrs. Jenkins said, I really encourage you to look closely at the prereqs that we have printed in our course selection book. We review those every year. It's not an issue of if you don't have the 83, you won't be successful, but you really want to ask yourself, where do I want to, we want you to be comfortable, we want you to be challenged, but we also want you to be in a course that's comfortable for you. How many of you are in honors algebra 1 this year? So your choice, this is the exciting honors geometry, which we'll be offering as a blended course. So 9th graders can take that. Now we will also try, if you do not want to take the blended, we will offer it the 6 days a cycle as well. So Mrs. Holmes will be teaching that course next year, and she is in the library if you have questions about that. If you don't feel comfortable with the honors geometry, we have accelerated. And how many of you are taking Algebra 1 traditional this year? So this was only the 2nd year for that course at the middle school. So you have a choice. You could continue on with geometry accelerated, but if you weren't really comfortable in that class, we have found that perhaps you might want to think about taking the Algebra 1 accelerated. Of all the math classes you take in the high school, Algebra 1 is by far, you need to have a firm foundation. So if you in any way didn't feel comfortable in Algebra 1, we strongly recommend perhaps trying Algebra 1 accelerated, and that'll put you on a good path for the rest of the years that you're here. And clearly pre-algebra, depending on your grade, and you'll be taking the Iowa score this year, your prereq is determined by adding those 2 scores together. So I will be in the library along with Mrs. Holmes and Mrs. Ray if you have questions, and we will turn it over to world language.
Thank you very much. My name is Veronique Liska, and I'm here tonight to represent the World Language Department. My colleagues have very eloquently described for you the honors student and an academic student in those different classroom environment, and definitely those qualities that they've mentioned carry over to the world language classes. I would add that neither of the academic nor the honors course are homework heavy. That's something we want to make sure that your students are aware of. We do expect some self-study, but neither course really requires a lot of work outside the classroom, which we think is an important thing to mention. In all classes, content will be delivered in the target language as much as possible. Obviously, a lot more so in the honors classes where total immersion is definitely the goal. And the higher the level, the more immersed you will find yourself. So thank you so much for coming tonight. I too will be in the library with my Spanish and maybe also German colleague to answer your question. We welcome you to the high school and have a lovely evening.
I guess Mr. Herman is over in the library waiting for everyone to come over and ask questions. And I apologize, I'll fix this slide. I don't know why it's like that. But the 9th grade course is wellness and team building and leadership. So your health course is wellness 1, and your phys ed course is team building and leadership. And remember, if you remember back to the beginning slides where we talked about the requirements for graduation, this would be a .25 health requirement and a .25 phys ed requirement checked off for the 9th grade. Team building and leadership meets 3 out of the 6-day cycle, and the same thing with wellness. So a lot of times what we do is back them up so that one semester you have 3 days of health and 3 days of phys ed, and that takes up 1 period for 1 semester. So probably one of the biggest questions that we get asked, how many classes can I fit in my schedule? Some kids want to jam-pack 20 courses into their freshman year, and we have to say, wait, hold the phone. You can't pack that many courses into your freshman year. And believe it or not, freshmen, the 9th grade class really does not have that many choices, because once we put in what the requirements are, it leaves very few choices. So if you look at this, we have 3 courses in the morning, and then we have that lunch and learn 1-hour block. And then we have 4 periods in the afternoon. So the students have a total of 7 periods. So if I'm a freshman, I'm taking my English, math, my social studies, my science. Okay? There are 4 right off the top. My team building and wellness is one of them for a semester. So that's 5 right there that you've taken off the top. If you have a Spanish, French, or world language course, that's 6. So you've filled 6 out of your 7 spots with requirements for freshman year. That leaves you the ability to pick 1 elective course, or 1.5, because you can fill that second semester of that team building and wellness. Okay? So there's not a lot of choices freshman year. But keep in mind, as you check off those requirements, that then opens up spots in your schedule to take other elective courses when you go to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So as you complete requirements, you can check certain things off. PE for 9th is 3 out of 6. So only a 3 out of 6 course could fit with that, or a study hall. So you have to keep certain things in mind as you go through this. And over here on the right are the number of credits. So you need 5.5 to 7. So keep that in mind. So in the course selection guide, when you're opening it, it's available now on the high school website. On the left, every course it says 6 out of 6, 3 out of 6, year-long or semester. So that tells you a year-long course with 6 out of 6 is a 1-credit course. A year-long course that meets 3 out of 6 is 0.5. A semester that meets 6 out of 6 is 0.5, and a semester that meets 3 out of 6 is a 0.25. And it's important that you remember those timelines that go back, because not every course is offered every period, and we want to build the best master schedule so that the majority of our students can get every course that they request. One other thing, some students request a study hall in their schedule. So if you request a study hall, you'll have to pick what you want. If you want a 0.5 or a 0.25 or a full year credit. A full year elective, but you don't get credit for that course. So you need to still think about that when you go through it. So our elective courses are all available out in the cyber cafe to talk to you tonight. So they all have different tables and they can answer any of your elective questions. But some elective program highlights: our art courses offer survey, which are semester long. So you could take that semester long course and back it up to your health and PE course, and then that would give you a full credit. And full year courses. Art 1 begins the portfolio program, and it's open to 9th graders. So if you know that you want to go to an art college and you know that you're going to need to build that portfolio, you can take Art 1 as a 9th grader and start that process. Project Lead the Way, the technology and engineering programs. There's 2 options. The students can start with Project Lead the Way as a freshman coming in, and they can work towards a 4 honors program with potential college credit. Half-year electives are also available. Intro to Engineering is one of the blended courses that we're offering next year. So you could take a Project Lead the Way course through the blended learning option. Business and computer apps. ECA, so if you had a child come through the high school and you are familiar with ECA and you want your child to take ECA, or your child wants that course, it's now called College and Career Readiness. We also have Accounting 2. So once your child takes Accounting 1, they can now take Accounting 2. Our music courses, there's music theory, there's guitar and technology. Some of the ensembles do require an audition, and the music teachers can fill you in on which ones you need to audition for and which ones you don't. You can talk to the music teachers at the high school or tonight or at the middle school. Family and consumer science. All of our family and consumer science courses are half-year electives. Foods 1, I would venture to say, is probably one of the most popular courses at the high school. And I think it's because they make food and they eat, and they love to eat. Interior design and child development. So if you're walking around the high school, we did a lunch and learn tour the other day, and there's like 7 infant seats in one of our classrooms, and a parent was like, what are they and what are you using them for? Our child development courses. So our child development course, the students have babies that cry, plug into a computer. There's tons of technology that goes along with them. It's pretty amazing what they can do and tell you. So timeline review. Remember, I can't stress this enough to you. The 14th through the 1st, get your course selection in. It doesn't matter if you do it at 7:31 tomorrow or February 28th, but sometime during that period, you need to get your course selection in. The 27th through the 3rd is our first add-drop period. So if you decide you want to change elective courses, that's the time to do it. And then the 20th through the 29th is where you complete the waiver and any level changes. Okay. I'm going to walk you through how do you select courses. So tomorrow, you're going to log in to your PowerSchool account, or the 28th of February, or the 15th or the 16th, whenever during that time. You're going to log in. You're going to see, I can pick. Here's an 11th grade English course. I click on this button over here, and here are all of my 10th grade English options. So I decide that I want to take 10th grade academic. I've met the prereq, and I know that's what I'm going to do, so I'm going to click OK. It then shows up as the course that you picked, okay? When I scroll down, I'm then going to pick my social studies course. Here are all the social studies courses that we offer. I'm going to take world history, blend it, and I'm going to click OK. Down the bottom, you can see it says requesting 2.25 because I picked my 2 credits at the top, right here. And as a 10th grader, I have to take lifelong fitness, and so we've programmed that in there for you. So that's the 0.25. So it'll add it up for you down the bottom. You go through and you pick for each course. Once you get down to, here's a business apps course, you can pick accounting 1. And it keeps going, and it'll run you through. On your screen, this is just a sample screen. I'm sorry? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the same process. Yeah, it's the same process. So you'll scroll down through, and at the bottom of your screen, you'll click OK on the right-hand side. Once you click OK, it'll push it through for you. Remember, it's going to tell you you don't have 5.5 credits or you have over 7. Go back and adjust your schedule. If there are courses in there that you cannot take for some reason, it won't allow you to pick them. So if you are taking a learning support class, that will be entered in there for you. All of your special ed teachers have already pre-entered all of that information. So you just need to go in and pick your core courses of requirements. So again, this is what the screen's going to look like, and you just go ahead and pick. And I'll show you quickly. The 9th grade one looks exactly the same way. You just go ahead and click. And there's your team building and wellness is in there. And you'll do exactly the same thing. 9th grade English, and then you click OK. So again, this will open tomorrow morning, and then you have until March 1st to do this. It doesn't matter if you're the first kid in or the 300th kid in. It's all going to... Okay. Okay, so department representatives, myself and Mr. Clark, will be out and about in the Cyber Cafe area to answer any questions that you have. The Media Center will also, there's our core content teachers that are in there. I believe all the teachers that are teaching blended learning courses for the 9th graders, they're available if you have questions about that to ask. We'll all be out and about. Thank you for coming. Have a great night, and let us know what questions you have.